The national championships here in Kingston, Jamaica are over. They're done. Everything is set. The teams are generally set. We don't see how, a couple athletes do have to qualify, but let us finish up and talk about some of these performances. First off, we got to talk about that men's 200. Bryan Levell got the win here in 20.10 seconds. Now, this was a very impactful win for him. Defends his, national title from last year. But remember what happened in that 100 where he ran 9.94 in the semifinals, went on to the final and got injured, but bounced back coming into the 200, ran through the rounds. People were still a little questionable on okay, could, Christopher Taylor, could Taylor actually challenge him in the final? Because Taylor ran 20.50 seconds in the semis, while Bryan Levell ran 20.51 seconds. And again, the injury question was still something, how was Bryan Levell going to hold up? But Bryan Levell showed out 20.10 seconds. Now, it's not a personal best. It's not even, as fast as what he had done. People were looking for that 19.7 or 19.8. And also, very importantly, remember, actually, I kind of misquoted. I thought that Andrew Hudson had the standard, but he didn't. Bryan Levell also did not have the standard. So for him to get the World Championship standard at this meet here solidifies his spot, and now it gives him another 2.5 months to prepare for Tokyo at the in the middle of September. Really great performance for Bryan Levell. Huge shout outs to his progress and his performances throughout this entire weekend. But Christopher Taylor, 20.28 seconds, second place. Shout out to Christopher Taylor. I know that, he came back from the ban that he had, dropped down to attempt the 100 and the 200. We know him as a sprinter. He actually said it in his post-race interview where he was like, yeah, he's still a 100, 200 runner, but he really showed up here. Now, he doesn't have the standard for the 200 for Worlds. He could go onto the circuit to potentially get that standard, but I think this is just a great performance and kind of like a motivational boost for him, considering everything that he's been through, considering, him having to sit time out and all that. And, he gets a lot of love from the Jamaican crowd and, he was a prodigy, right? He was kind of like that next guy up, coming out of champs. So for him to get second place here, big performance overall for Bryan Levell. Great performance. Very quickly on the women's 200, nothing too high profile. Shout out to Ashanti Moore, 22.66 to get the win over Gabrielle Matthews as well as McGregor. The performances weren't amazing across the board. I think the unfortunate big story here is Brianna Williams. False started in the 200. Man, I don't know. It was really weird. It was a massive false start, right? It wasn't like, she twitched, and it wasn't like, the gun just went off. It was like she just started. It was really strange. And I'm gonna be honest, a couple of us, on the media side, we were like, that looked kind of blatant, but it wasn't. I don't think it was in any capacity, because Brianna Williams has been working to get to a point where she can be competitive, right? Remember 2018, 2019, 2020, and then 2021. She was the next up, right? Y'all remember her on the first leg for Jamaica at the Olympic Games in the 4x1 in 2021 in Tokyo. She was next up. I think, and she was devastated, just being honest. After the 100 semis, after the 200 false start here, she was absolutely devastated. And I do wonder if there's an aspect of, there's younger girls who are now coming up, younger women really, who are now coming up and have, being honest, kind of surpassed Brianna Williams. Remember, she was the quote-unquote next up, right? She was the young prodigy coming out of Jamaica on the women's side to follow in the footsteps of the big three, Shelly, Sharika, and Elaine. But those setbacks and, the coaching changes and all those things kind of took away from her momentum potentially. And now you have Tia Clayton. Now you have Tina Clayton. And then you have all the others, right? Not Brianna Liston is not even here. You have all these younger athletes who are almost taking her spot. Now, Brianna Williams is still extremely young. She's still, 23 years old? So she still has a lot of time to go. But I could only imagine the emotional toll of, man, I've been working, and this was almost, I was supposed to be going to Worlds. I was supposed to be going to the Olympics, all that. So shout out to Brianna Williams, though. We're hopefully going to see her back, but women's 200, pretty decent overall. And Sharika Jackson has the wild card to the World Championships. She said that she's going to be going for the double, both the 100 and the 200. So we'll see how she actually does when we get to Tokyo. It's going to be very tough, but Sharika Jackson is going to be there. Now, let's quickly talk about the 100 hurdles. 100 hurdles, Megan Tapper showed up and showed out. She ran a personal best of 12.34 seconds, taking down her previous best of 12.4 set all the way back in 2023, right? I've been saying that Megan Tapper she's almost like in a third section of her career in a sense where, she was doing really well and managed to get a bronze medal at the Olympic Games in 2021. She then, was kind of up and down in 2022. 2023, she bounced back, didn't get a medal, and she didn't make the final or at the World Championships, but she did, run 12.4 a couple times, 3 times during that season. 2024, unfortunately doesn't make the Olympic team and was devastated at Jamaican Olympic trials last year. But now she comes back, redemption, to not only make the team to the World Championships, but also run a personal best 12.34 seconds ahead of Akira Nugent. I'm going to be honest, watching the race, I thought that Akira Nugent was going to be able to surpass Megan Tapper at some point, but Megan was out like a rocket and she held it through. She was so emotional after the race, so emotional because of everything that she worked to get to this point, everything that she, went through, everything that she, manifested for herself to be able to actually, see it come into fruition. Big moment. And this is just a start for Megan Tapper. She is looking forward to really challenging with some of the best. It's going to be tough, right? 12.2s and all that, some of the women are running, but listen, she's on one this year. And I see her doing a lot better than she's already shown. So shout out to Megan Tapper and Akira Nugent as well. 12.41 seconds in second place. That's nothing to sleep on. Nothing to sleep on. And she has a lot of time to progress just like Megan, right? She's already run 12.3 this year. We know last year she ran 12.2 a bunch of times. She's run 12.24, I think. So, Akira Nugent is definitely going to be in the mix. And they're going to join Danielle Williams, who has a wild card to the World Championships already. So shout out to Megan, Akira, and Amoy Brown, who got third place, 12.67 seconds. Now, men's 110 hurdles. 110 hurdles. This was another one that was very interesting. Now, first off, we saw that, unfortunately, Rusheen Broadbell got injured. He got injured and was unable to actually run and, qualify potentially. I'll talk about that in a second, but he was unable to actually run to get top 3 here at the national championships. We did see Orlando Bennett, though. Orlando Bennett got the win. 13.10 seconds, just 100th of a second off his personal best of 13.09, which he set last year in 2024. Orlando Bennett has, I think, and someone could correct me, but he's made every single World Championship team, every single team, Worlds or Olympics for Jamaica, except 2021. He's made every single one since, I think, 2017. Again, someone could cross-check me, but at least since 2019. So the consistency has always been there. But last year, when he made the Olympic final, and his whole season in totality in 2024, I think that was a big jump for him and a big motivator to say that I can compete with the best guys in the world. I am not someone who could, who should be overlooked. Yes, you have Rusheen Broadbell. Yes, we have Hansel Parchment. Shout out to Hansel Parchment. Unfortunately, didn't qualify for the team here. But Orlando Bennett is trying to assert himself as not only one of the best hurdlers in Jamaica, but one of the best hurdlers in the world. I spoke to him afterwards, and he said that he knows this is just step one. There's a lot of work to do. He explicitly said that the Americans are going to be ready, so he has to make sure that he's ready. Listen, shout out to Orlando Bennett, an amazing performance for him here. Demario Prince. Shout out to Demario Prince, just behind Orlando with a massive best, 13.12 seconds. Got under the World Championship qualifying standard of 12.27, so he is set. He is set, and he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem. Coming off the NCAA, ran for Baylor, he's going to be a problem. Shout out to Demario Prince. Third place, you have Tyler Mason, 13.22. This is where it gets interesting. Tyler Mason ran the World Championship standard, right? 13.27 seconds. Finished third place here. So on paper, he should go to the World Championships. But the thing is, I'm not sure if Rusheen Broadbell will potentially get a medical exemption where he is, the Jamaican leader. He is the Olympic bronze medalist. He has all those accolades that he's won, for Jamaica. And of course, he's obviously the best hurdler right now in Jamaica. But the fact that he wasn't able to compete, I don't know if he'll get a medical exemption. I mean, it's possible because I guess on paper, Jamaica may take the athlete who's the most proven and the one who's most likely to be able to, medal at the World Championships. It's different than the United States, where the United States, it's like dead set. Top 3, that's what it is. If you don't make top 3, you're not going. Jamaica does have medical exemptions. Jamaica does have, different methods to take athletes who don't actually qualify. But again, if they take Rashid Broadbell, then that means that Tyler Mason, who does have the standard, who did finish top 3, that means he will have to sit at home. I'm not sure what the best, course of action may be, and I'm not sure what the JAAA might do. People are kind of mad at the JAAA, so I don't know if anyone's going to be happy, out of this situation, but we'll see. We'll see. Shout out to all of them, though. Orlando Bennett, he's coming. A couple others. We got the women's and men's 400s. Women's 400, I've been saying this through the year. Shelly-Pryce builds momentum as the season gets going. She just ran 49.97 seconds for a season's best, right? Breaking the 50-second barrier for the first time this year. And yes, it's not the 48.5 that she ran last year, not the 48.9 she ran last year, but it doesn't matter. She now has solidified her spot onto the team for the World Championships, and now she has another 2.5 months to get ready. Yes, she didn't make it into the final at the Olympic Games last year, but this is her first year without running in the NCAA. This is her first full year as a professional athlete. She is going to be dangerous. I think she's going to be dangerous. Now, I'm not saying that she's going to 100% get a medal. That's a big step up. But I do think that she has the potential to really make some more progress and be competitive, be in the place where she should be, right? She should be competitive. You don't run 48.5, you don't run 48.9 without being a serious threat in the women's 400. Yes, the event is extremely deep right now between all the women. Forget even Paulino and Nasser, right? Add in Natalia Bukoetska, right? Add in Rashida Adeleke, Amber Anning. Like, there's so many women who are very much in the conversation, but Shelly-Pryce is right in there. So shout out to her getting the win here. Dejanay Oakley, coming off of the 49.6 she ran to finish second place at NCAA's, she is now making the team. She is now going to be at the World Championships, her first team for Jamaica. She's also going to be running at Prefontaine next week, so we'll see how that plans out. But second place here, and then Stacey-Ann Williams solidifies her spot, 50.08 seconds. On the cusp of that 50-second barrier, same time as Dejanay Oakley. She, of course, has a personal best of 50 seconds flat, so she wants to get under that barrier, but she makes another team, so excited to see how she does here. Now, men's 400. This is interesting. This is very interesting. Rusheen McDonald, 44.89 seconds. A lot of controversy here. First off, runs a race, amazing race, wins the race. But a couple meters beforehand, right? A couple meters before the finish line, maybe 10-ish meters before the finish line, puts his finger, slows down, puts his finger to his mouth, and he's like, shh, he's shushing everybody. Why did he do that? He's saying that to the haters. He's saying that to the public, not to his competitors. He was actually very clear. I'll put the clip up in a second, but he's saying that to all the people that have been doubting him, this was for y'all. This was for y'all. He got the win here, his first national title ever in the 400, which is crazy because he's a national record holder in Jamaica. But I think what it does is it speaks to kind of why people may not have as much confidence in him, in the performances he's put out through his career. Now, one thing before I talk about that is he doesn't have the World Championship standard. He ran 44.89 seconds, but because he slowed down, he didn't get the World Championship standard of 44.85 seconds. So obviously, if he ran through the line, he would have gotten that standard. But now what he has to do is go over to Europe or go over to I think he's running in Prefontaine in the 400, and he's going to have to run that standard. He's obviously in the form to be able to run that standard, but I think this is where the potential criticisms come in, where Rusheen McDonald broke the national record back in 2015 at the World Championships in Beijing, 43.93 seconds, but he didn't actually make the final at that World Championships. In the subsequent years, he's had such an up and down career where, he hasn't, maybe, sometimes he'll do well, sometimes he won't do well. He'll have these up and down years. Last year, he got a bronze medal at the World Indoor Champs, but he unfortunately just hasn't been as reliable, I think, as Jamaican, fans in the Jamaican community would like, which has led to a lot of hate and a lot of criticism, which led to him shushing the crowd or shushing, everybody when he did finish his race. So I don't know. He's such an interesting figure, but shout out to Rusheen McDonald for getting his first title here, running 44 seconds and potentially getting a spot to the World Championships in Tokyo later on this summer. Behind him, though, Delano Kennedy, he's been on the rise. He has been on the rise. Young kid, still only 21 years old, 44.91 seconds. Very much a great performance. You have Javon Powell, 45.08. So those are the top three at the championships here. Amazing performance across the board for Delano Kennedy, Javon Powell, Rusheen McDonald. So that was pretty much the competition. The last competition we did see was the men's triple jump. Foregone conclusion for Jordan Scott. He already had the qualifying standard. I don't think any of the other Jamaicans had the qualifying standard, but he managed to jump 17.11 meters, 17.15 meters windy, but he already has jumped 17.3 this year. He's jumped 17.2. Like, he has been very consistent in 2025, and he's going to be a force when talking about Jamaican track and field going into the World Championships. He's competed at the Diamond League. He's been able to win a couple Diamond Leagues, and he's putting himself in the conversation with some of the top guys in the world when talking about the triple jump. So shout out to Jordan Scott, but overall, amazing Jamaican national championships. Shout out to everyone who was able to come out. Shout out to all the athletes and the performances that they were able to put down. This is hard work. These athletes are putting a lot of themselves into the performances that we're seeing on the track. And listen, I get a chance, I have the opportunity to speak with a lot of athletes. There's a lot that goes on in the background that I don't know. Injuries, setbacks, family, like all kinds of things. So definitely shout out to the athletes, but let me know what your favorite performance from these national championships are, across the entire 4 days. And what are you looking forward to in the next couple weeks as we lead up to the World Championships? Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Always truly appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.